At my 18th birthday gala, my sister-in-law by arranged marriage gifted me a diamond necklace that was practically priceless. In contrast, my brother's first love presented a bracelet woven from foxtail grass. Cowering behind him and feigning pity, the guests held back their laughter, watching the drama unfold. I picked up the grass ring to inspect it. Your craftsmanship is as poor as my brother's taste in women. Hey guys, your girl Clara is here to spill the tea. Connect to your neighbor's Wi-Fi. Grab your snacks and instant ramen, because I'm about to go off. I was the little princess of New York's elite circle, and my coming-of-age party was the event of the season. Every big name was there. My sister-in-law, Veronica Sue, a business powerhouse contractually engaged to my brother Ethan, was a force of nature, dressed in a striking red pantsuit. She was the epitome of cool elegance. She navigated the lavishly dressed crowd on her stilettos and walked right up to me, handing me her meticulously chosen gift. Happy birthday, Clara. The moment I opened the box, the brilliance of the gems blinded me. When my eyes adjusted, I saw it was the quintessence necklace I had coveted for ages, a limited edition with only 28 pieces worldwide, each uniquely designed and nearly impossible to acquire. She had somehow gotten her hands on it and given it to me. I was speechless with excitement. Thank you, Veronica, I gushed, linking my arm with hers, eager to bond. Just then, a stir went through the crowd. It was my elusive CEO brother, Ethan. He exuded an imperial aura that commanded the room, but the timid girl clinging to his side ruined the effect. She wore a plain white dress, her posture so tense and awkward it cheapened her entire look. This was Ethan's new pet project, a girl named Sophia Hayes. She glanced at me fleetingly and stammered, Happy birthday, Clara. I spent all night weaving this bracelet for you. I hope you like it." She opened her palm to reveal a greenish, dirt-stained bracelet that looked like it was made from weeds she'd pulled from the roadside. "And she'd spent all night on this?" I gave her a bored look, and she immediately shrank back, hiding behind Ethan with only her hand extended. "It's great," I said with a smile, giving her a sincere thumbs up. "Your craftsmanship is as poor as my brother's taste in women." The remark was met with a burst of laughter from the onlookers. Sophia was mortified, wishing the ground would swallow her whole. Ethan shot me a disapproving glare. "Clara Ming, that's enough." He used my full name, his tone a clear warning. I cocked my head, feigning confusion. "Humph, are you really getting angry with me over some irrelevant woman?" I then signaled for a servant to bring over the gift Veronica had given me. "Miss Hayes, your worldview is rather limited, so you probably don't realize that only a gift of this caliber is worthy of my status." Her eyes welled up with tears as she bit her lip and apologized. I am sorry, Clara. I didn't mean to." "Ethan, please don't let me come between you and your sister." Her act was so pathetically cliché. She wasn't even worth my energy. I waved a dismissive hand. "I hope you gain some self-awareness, Miss Hayes, and understand that there are some social circles you can't force your way into, no matter how hard you try." My words only made her look more heartbroken, her face pale with despair. Ethan finally lost his temper over my repeated jabs at his sweetheart, resorting to the classic CEO roar, but I was unfazed. I turned to Veronica with a bright smile. "The air in here is getting stale. Let's go talk somewhere else." She gave me a knowing glance and we walked away. The day before my party, I had a revelation. I was just the malicious sister character in a trashy CEO romance novel. Ethan was the male lead, and Sophia was the heroine. In the story, Ethan was fond of Sophia but also looked down on her, treating her like a plaything. Their relationship only deepened because of my constant, wicked schemes against her. My final plot, a life-threatening one, nearly cost him Sophia. It was then he realized he was deeply in love with her. He disowned his own family, sent me to prison, where Sophia's other admirers, the so-called second male leads, made sure I was tortured until I met a miserable end. Worst of all, Ethan wasn't my real brother. He was the son of my cheating father's first love, a secret my father covered up by naming him the Ming family heir. My mother, bless her heart, believed he was her own flesh and blood and doted on him, only to have her real daughter thrown in jail. The truth was cruelly revealed to her on her deathbed. The whole plot was laughable, but what baffled me most was how Veronica, a brilliant and noble woman, was reduced to a mere stepping stone for Sophia's social climbing. Whichever hack author came up with this, the bottom line was that neither of us had a happy ending. Once we were in a quiet corner, Veronica let go of my hand. "Clara, he's your brother. You shouldn't have done that," she said, adding, At least not so publicly. It was embarrassing for him. I understood her point. Ethan was the head of the Ming family now, and she worried I'd crossed a line and would face the consequences. After all, powerful families were full of pampered, useless heiresses who were nothing without their family's name. A self-made businesswoman like her was a rarity. Veronica prioritized her career, and our family's union was a strategic merger to consolidate power. That's why she didn't care if my brother had a woman on the side. I smiled. Veronica, I'm not a naive little girl anymore. I hugged her arm, resting my head on her shoulder and looking up at her with admiration. Veronica, have you ever considered that beyond being sisters-in-law, we could have another kind of relationship? Perhaps a partnership between you and me would be stronger than one with my brother. She paused for a second, then a look of understanding dawned on her. She met my gaze, her beautiful face magnified before me, and said, word by word, you want to take over. A wide grin spread across my face. You get me, Veronica. Instead of being a disposable pawn, I'd rather eliminate all uncertainties from the start. So, are you in? I asked expectantly. She replied, why not? We had a deal. We exchanged a knowing smile. Returning to the party, I felt fantastic. I mingled with the guests, chatting with family friends who all commented on how beautiful and well-raised I was, wondering which lucky family would snag me. I smiled sweetly on the outside, but scoffed internally. Who wants to be a delicate rose? I was a lily, a beautiful, poisonous one. Making an excuse, I slipped away to find Veronica, but Ethan intercepted me. His annoying little tag-along was gone. Clara, he said, handing me a box. This is what Sophia really got for you. I glanced at it indifferently. Brother, what is it that you even like about Sophia? I asked, suddenly curious. She's pure, resilient, optimistic, and full of positive energy, he said, a blissful smile on his face, like a teenage boy head over heels in love. Even his usually cold, deep-set eyes softened. That does sound wonderful, I mused, nodding in agreement. Ethan looked relieved. So, will you try to be nicer to her, for my sake? Then can you marry her? I shot back. As expected, he fell silent. The answer was obvious, of course not. Sophia's family had no power or influence. She had a sick father and a younger brother in school to support. She offered him no strategic advantage. He was just keeping her as a cherished pet. Marriage was a tool for power. Women were just a way for CEOs to pass the time. Finally, he said, I will give her as much happiness as I possibly can. I promise I'll help you. I said sweetly, once you have nothing, you'll be free to be with your little flower forever and ever. See how understanding I am? He was even pleased. Such a good girl, Clara. My debut was a massive success, and plenty of young heirs tried to catch my eye. But who had time for men? My gaze followed Veronica through the crowd. She was like a queen, holding her own and charming a group of businessmen, every move exuding charisma. She was the one I truly admired, the person I aspired to be. I dodged a flock of preening peacocks and made my way toward her, drawing the greedy, lecherous stares of at least half the men in her vicinity. One portly, greasy man was smirking. Even if I can't be one of Veronica's many conquests, marrying her little sister-in-law wouldn't be a bad way to spend my life. His gaze grew even more brazen as he sized me up. Veronica's eyelids fluttered. The champagne flute in her hand suddenly smashed onto the floor, sending shards of glass flying. The lively atmosphere instantly died down. She let out a cold, low laugh. What species of toad are you to be fantasizing about a swan? The man, his dignity wounded, turned beet red, the fat on his face trembling with rage. He glared at her. Veronica Sue, who do you think you are? If it weren't for Ethan Ming, who would bother kissing up to you? His words angered me too. What did he mean? If it weren't for Ethan? Everything Veronica had she earned herself, fighting her way through the business world alone. What did that have to do with my brother? Why did a woman's value have to be tied to a man? I retorted, Mr. Huang, you must be quite envious of my sister-in-law. How about you try marrying my brother instead? Let's see if anyone bothers to kiss your feet. Mr. Huang was speechless. Veronica scanned the crowd. Let me be clear, she warned, her voice soft but firm. Clara is under my protection. Anyone who dares to mess with her will end up like this glass. The room fell silent. Everyone looked at us with a newfound sense of caution. The person who intimidated them wasn't my brother, Ethan. It was Veronica and the absolute power she wielded. One day, I would become just like her, someone no one dared to underestimate. We stepped out of the noisy hall together. She smoothed her wind-tousled hair, then with a click, a lighter flared to life, igniting the slim cigarette between her fingers. She took a drag and exhaled a ring of white smoke. "The business world is a dirty place," she said. "What you just saw was only the tip of the iceberg. Clara, the path to power isn't as easy as you think. What about you, Veronica?" I looked at her. "When your father passed away, you were surrounded by wolves, yet at only 18, you managed to hold up the entire Sioux family." Veronica tapped the ash from her cigarette, a hint of melancholy in her eyes. "But I grew up by my dad's side. I was used to seeing these things. But are you willing to train me?" I moved closer, my voice low and seductive. "Unlike my cheating brother, I will never betray you. It's better to have someone to watch your back in the business world than to fight alone." Veronica squinted, her beautiful eyes taking on a hazy look. She was tempted. A few minutes later, she finished her cigarette and tossed the butt into a trash can. "Starting tomorrow, come to my company. You'll be my assistant." I was overjoyed. "Veronica, I love you the most." I couldn't help but throw my arms around her neck and plant a big kiss on her cheek. She touched the spot I'd kissed, a smile playing on her lips. I could tell she was happy. She had been alone for so long, without close friends or family. Later that evening, Veronica drove me home. It seemed my party had brokered quite a few deals, because my father was ecstatic. He was bragging to my mom, "Honey, look how capable our son is." Leaving the mean corporation in his hands was the right choice. My mother smiled without a word, her expression serene as she sipped her tea. My father continued to gloat. If I hadn't awakened to those memories, I would have truly believed I had a happy, loving family. But now I knew about Ethan. No wonder he'd always been so distant. I couldn't stop myself from snapping at my father. Capable of what? Finding women on the side? My father's face changed. "Clara Ming, what nonsense are you talking about?" he roared. I paused on the spiral staircase and shot him a cold look. "Dad, are you playing dumb or are you just that good of an actor? My brother brought his so-called girlfriend here today to make a scene. The gift she gave me was a bracelet made of weeds. It was utterly humiliating." My mom, who had always believed Ethan was the perfect son and brother and that he and Veronica were a loving couple, was shocked. "Is that true?" I immediately perked up, rushing downstairs to vent to my mom. "Mom, he's had years of elite education, but his taste in women is abysmal. He likes those manipulative, damsel-in-distress types. Did he inherit that from Dad? I heard Dad's first love was that type too." I chattered on, pointedly ignoring my father's darkening expression. "Mom, you have to keep an eye on Dad. Be careful he's not secretly supporting someone on the side." My father's face was as black as a pot. "Clara Ming, shut up." I immediately stopped talking and scurried into my mom's arms, feigning fear. "Why are you yelling?" "I was just joking," I whimpered. For the first 18 years of my life, my father had been a largely absent figure, always playing the part of the doting dad whenever he appeared. He'd almost never raised his voice at me. My mom patted my back, comforting me. She then turned to him coolly. "She was just joking. Why are you so defensive? Do you have a guilty conscience?" My father quickly softened his tone. "Honey, of course not. The child is just spouting nonsense. How could I not be upset?" But my mom still defended me. "You've been so busy with business all these years. You've paid too little attention to Clara. You have no right to yell at her." With that, she led me upstairs. I followed meekly, still looking aggrieved. My mother may have lived a pampered life, but she was no fool. My words today would surely plant a seed of doubt in her mind. The question was, how could I tell her that the son she had loved for over 20 years was not her own, but the child of a mistress? Well, better to rip the band-aid off quickly. My mom was an old hand in the social circuit. She'd seen it all. Affairs and illegitimate children were probably minor scandals to her. If all else failed, we could always give my dad a taste of his own medicine and find my mom a new man. To make my act more convincing, I cried for a while. It took my mom a long time to console me, and by then it was late, so she ended up sleeping in my room. The next morning, my rarely seen father was at the breakfast table with us. He personally served me a bowl of shrimp congee, playing the perfect benevolent father. "Clara, have you thought about what you want to apply for? Will you go abroad for design or art?" I smiled as I took the bowl, stirring the congee with a spoon. "Thank you, Dad," I replied softly, "but I've decided to stay here for college and major in finance." "What did you say?" The pleasant man from a moment ago was gone. His face cold and his eyes filled with disbelief. I looked up at him, puzzled. What's wrong? Aren't you happy, Dad? The corporation is huge. My brother can't possibly manage it all by himself. I need to join the company and help him. He quickly composed himself. No, it's not that. You're the Ming family's princess. Your brother and I will handle the money making. You and your mother should just enjoy life. I just smiled and said nothing more, but I took his words to heart. In the book, my reckless behavior led to my imprisonment, which was a huge shock to my mom. To speed up his reunion with his first love, my dad tampered with her medication, causing her health to deteriorate. For such a disloyal man, a taste of his own medicine was in order. My father had some health issues and had been taking supplements for years. My maternal grandfather was a renowned traditional Chinese medicine doctor, and my mom had learned a lot from him. For years, she had been personally preparing my father's remedies. I lowered my eyes, wondering how to convince my mom to teach him a little lesson. After breakfast, my father left for the office, and I dragged my mom out. She thought I was taking her shopping and happily agreed, but the car pulled into a private equestrian estate. A tall, middle-aged man in riding gear was on horseback. When my mom got out of the car and saw the handsome, imposing man, she froze for a moment, then turned to leave, but the man was already leading his horse toward them, calling her name, Zijin. My mother's body went rigid, unable to move. I smiled at the gentle, refined man. Everyone has a first love. This man was the love of my mother's life. They had been madly in love, but he was an undercover DEA agent who had faked his death for an assignment. When my mom heard the news, she was devastated and nearly followed him to the grave. It took her years to recover. For the sake of her aging parents, she finally pulled herself together and married my father. My father, eager to marry into my mom's then prominent family, had abandoned his own first love to marry her, thinking he could take over her family's wealth. But my mom was no fool. The two family companies merged to become the Ming Corporation of today, but she kept a firm grip on her family's assets and also acquired a significant stake in the Ming shares, at times wielding more power than my father. When my mom's first love returned from his mission, he found the woman he loved married to another man, a mother to another's child. Even though they still loved each other, they were separated by the insurmountable gap of morality and ethics. Feeling he owed her, he never married. Today, even if it was like trying to fill the ocean with pebbles, I was going to bridge that gap for them. After a brief hesitation, my mom quickened her pace, wanting to leave. I quickly grabbed her. Mom, you and Mr. Kane have a history. You can't just avoid him forever, can you? She gave me a disapproving look. I'm a married woman. Oh, don't get the wrong idea. I just meant as old friends catching up, I said. Before she could object, I called out to the man hurrying over. Mr. Kane, I'll leave my mom with you. I'll pick her up this afternoon. With that, I jumped back in the car and told the driver to go, leaving my mom with a face full of exhaust fumes. After leaving the estate, I headed to the Sioux Corporation. Perhaps Veronica had already informed the front desk, because as soon as I walked in, I was escorted to the CEO's office. She was signing documents and just glanced up when I arrived. Sit wherever, she said, then told her secretary, get the bubble tea I just brought in for Miss Ming. I saw that it was my favorite from the alley, an iced milk tea, and was instantly delighted. The secretary added, Miss Ming, Ms. Sue bought this especially for you. Ms. Sue has been on her own for so many years and rarely buys things for anyone. You're the first. His tone was filled with emotion. It was a teasing comment, but it felt strangely familiar. Still, I was most pleased that Veronica knew my preferences. From the gemstone necklace to this cup of tea, Veronica looked up from her work and saw me clutching the tea, amused. You're funny. You like expensive jewelry but also cheap bubble tea. I bit on my straw. There's no shame in that. The alley won me over with its quality. Besides, you own this bubble tea chain, don't you? Her pen stopped. A flash of surprise crossed her beautiful eyes. You knew? I leaned in closer, bantering. I know everything about you, Veronica. If I weren't clever, how could I win your favor and convince you to teach me about business? You smooth talker, she said, pushing my face away and dropping a stack of files in front of me. Read all of this. I'll quiz you in 2 hours. I glanced at the stack. It was at least half an inch thick, and was instantly reminded of my high school days cramming for the SATs. It was truly a time of forgetting to eat or sleep, having just finished my exams. The fighting spirit was still in my blood, and I felt a surge of excitement looking at these files, eager to get started, but once I began, the unfamiliar technical terms left me completely bewildered. Just as I was about to tear my hair out, a light, pleasant fragrance drifted from behind me. Veronica leaned in close. "What don't you understand?" Her voice was melodious and soothing, a stark contrast to her cool exterior, and it calmed my frustration. As a person with a thing for voices, this was a new and pleasant experience. I pointed to a technical term. "What does this mean?" She then explained it to me, word by word, with more patience than any tutor. With her guiding me, I quickly got the hang of things. She praised me, saying that as expected of a recent high school graduate, my brain worked fast and I was a quick learner. I'd been praised by many people throughout my life, but apart from my mother, no one's praise had ever made me feel so giddy and motivated. In the afternoon, after a meeting, Veronica took me to a small cafe downstairs from her office for a snack. I ordered a bowl of hot, sweet rice ball soup. While waiting, I suddenly heard a delicate voice behind me. "Ethan, try this. Their cake is really sweet." I turned, intrigued, and saw Sophia feeding a spoonful of cake to Ethan. He opened his mouth and ate it. Sophia then looked up, her smile radiant. "It's good, right?" Ethan replied. He had his back to me, so I couldn't see his expression, but I could hear the pleasure in his voice. In contrast, Veronica, sitting across from me, continued to eat her own food, completely unfazed. I asked her, "Did my brother come looking for you?" Veronica said, passing me a piece of her cake. "He has dinner with me every Wednesday, having afternoon tea with his lover right before having dinner with his fiancée. My dear brother certainly had a packed schedule. Doesn't that disgust you, Veronica?" Her tone was flat. "It's just business." Even so, Ethan's actions were repulsive. Men really couldn't be trusted. Looking at Veronica's calm face, a sense of responsibility washed over me. "From now on, I'll take your Wednesday appointments," I declared. "You don't have to put on a show with my brother anymore." Veronica looked startled, her lips parting as if to say something, but in the end, she said nothing. Soon, our rice ball soup arrived. I ate in silence. By the time I finished my bowl, Sophia and Ethan's date was over. Ethan went to the counter to pay. Sophia, with nothing to do, glanced around and spotted us. She came bouncing over. "Wow, it's you, Clara." She greeted me enthusiastically. I had no energy to deal with her, but she was clueless, calling out excitedly to Ethan, "Ethan, come look, it's really Clara." Her commotion forced Ethan, who was already at the door, to turn back and walk toward us. Sophia held out her hand to him, commanding, "Give it to me." Ethan frowned. "What?" Seeing he didn't get her hint, Sophia let out a little tisk and reached directly into his suit pocket, pulling out a red velvet box. In the crowded cafe, she announced loudly, "Clara, I know you look down on me because I'm poor, but I've been working hard to be worthy of your brother. I used the money I saved from my part-time jobs in college to buy you this birthday gift as a replacement. I hope you'll be satisfied." She then held the velvet box with both hands and presented it to me ceremoniously. Her voice drew the attention of many onlookers, and curious, dramatic gazes fell upon us. It was as if not accepting her gift would make me a terrible person, condemned by all. Was this genuine sincerity or a deliberate act? I sneered, looking past her directly at my brother. "Aren't you going to control her? Your actual fiancé is sitting right here, and your little mistress is being this ostentatious. Are you afraid strangers won't get to laugh at our family's drama?" Sophia's eyes widened. Veronica, as if just noticing her, finally spoke. Sophia quickly apologized. I am sorry, Ms. Sue. I didn't know you'd be here." "It's fine," Veronica said, her expression unchanged. "I won't argue with a blind person." Sophia immediately started tearing up, looking helplessly at my brother. "Did I offend Ms. Sue?" Ethan frowned, about to defend his little flower. I raised my hand to stop him before he could speak. "Don't explain anything. I don't care if you're a mistress, but at least learn to be discreet. And in front of the actual wife-to-be, you should learn to keep your tail between your legs." The color drained from Sophia's face, and she swayed as if she might faint. "Clara, don't slander me. I'm not a mistress. Your brother and I are truly in love." If she had just a bit more self-awareness, we could have let it slide, but she just had to push my buttons. "What good is that?" I said. "My brother told me himself that he will never marry you. You're just a bed warmer to him." In the end, He'll marry my sister-in-law. He'll have a wife, kids, and a happy home, while you'll be like a call girl he can summon and dismiss at will, tossing you a bit of cash to get rid of you. I grew more and more outrageous, and the gossiping crowd started taking out their phones to record, whispering among themselves. Ethan's face darkened, and he roared, "That's enough, Clara Ming." His shout just made me blink, my eyes welling up. "Brother, did I say anything wrong? Isn't this the truth?" He looked like he was about to lecture me, but I didn't give him the chance. I threw myself into Veronica's arms and started sobbing loudly. Veronica gently patted my back and warned him in a cold voice, "Ethan Ming, control your women. Don't let them parade in front of Clara again. Otherwise, I'll have to deal with them myself." With that, Veronica led me away from the scene. As we passed them, I peeked out from her embrace and shot Ethan and Sophia a defiant look. As expected, the videos went viral online. My extravagant birthday party was still fresh in people's minds, and the new drama quickly sparked widespread and heated discussions among netizens. If the day before they were joking, "Miss, did you forget to take your old bull with you?" Then the next day, the so-called top-tier wealthy family became the butt of unprecedented jokes. Unfortunately, this was all just minor trouble, barely scratching the surface of the deeply rooted Ming family. It was Sophia who was dragged through the mud online. Her company, under pressure, had no choice but to fire her. Then, Ethan made a grand entrance, defending her, publicly taking her away, and spending money to suppress the trending topics. But as the saying goes, the barefooted aren't afraid of those with shoes. Even so, netizens continued to make memes on his Instagram and TikTok. "Mr. Ming, you have so many mistresses, you wouldn't mind one more, right? You don't have to come to me, just make sure the money arrives." The prestigious Ming family's reputation was shredded in a single day. I read every classic comment, laughing, and even screenshotted them to host a giveaway on my own account, rewarding them for their witty remarks. Netizens were incredibly moved, praising me left and right. "Our young miss may be the youngest, but her vision is the biggest." 2 days later, I had gained 10 million followers, becoming an influencer by stepping on Ethan's reputation. The feeling was marvelous. My father was furious. "Clara Ming, have all the manners you've learned over the years gone to the dogs?" I found him annoying and cleaned my ear. "Dad, didn't you say it yourself? One must be able to accept criticism. My brother did something wrong, so he should humbly accept the public's judgment. Don't you agree?" My father was fuming. Seeing he couldn't get through to me, he went to my mother. "Honey, can you bear to see our son suffer like this?" My mom was getting a manicure and didn't even look up. "My daughter is right," she said, blindly supporting me. This made my father even more agitated. I gloated silently. He still thought my mom was the clueless, good wife. He remained as arrogant as ever, using work as an excuse to stay at the office, not coming home for days on end, just like my brother. Feeling sorry for my mom and fearing she'd be lonely, I made a point of taking her out. Coincidentally, I drove to the neighborhood of my father's old flame, and then, our car got a flat tire. I called Mr. Kane and asked him to come pick us up. While waiting, we happened to see my father with his old flame, his arm around her. Behind them was Ethan, carrying bags of all sizes and affectionately calling them Mom and Dad. I thought my mom would lose control, but she just toyed with the flower petal. When the three of them had gone inside, she crushed the entire flower on the ground. She stepped out from the shade of the tree and said softly, "I always knew he had a woman on the side. I just didn't expect the son was someone else's too. Who would have thought?" If it weren't for my godlike perspective, I would have never known Ethan was an illegitimate child who had taken my real brother's place. Perhaps this novel was always biased toward the male lead, letting a long-suffering woman like my mom be played for a fool. Later, Mr. Kane arrived. My mom asked him to investigate the old flame. When a thick file was placed in front of her, Mr. Kane was racked with guilt. "Zijin, I'm sorry." He was consumed by remorse. If he hadn't left, perhaps my mom wouldn't have married the wrong man. My mom elegantly sipped her coffee, a faint smile on her face. "It's not your fault. You were doing something important." That afternoon, they had a long talk. I don't know the details, but the wall between them was definitely gone. Seeing that my mom was ignoring him, my father was furious. But since all his money was in my mom's hands, he didn't dare to break things off with her. He could only leave home in a huff. I sidled up to my mom and suggested, "How about we, mother and daughter, team up and send Dad and Ethan to hell?" My mom heartlessly pushed me away. With you? Forget it. Her tone was full of disdain. Hey, don't look down on me, I protested. My mom shook her head helplessly. You should use this time to learn more from your sister-in-law, so you can take over the vast Ming family business in the future. Her words were like a reassurance pill for me. With a clear-headed and rational mother and a powerful sister-in-law, I could basically coast to victory. All I needed to do was work hard to improve myself, hoping to one day stand on the front lines, shoulder to shoulder with the person I admired, and conquer the business world. The next time I went to Veronica's company, she was about to go out for drinks with another company's CEO. I begged her to take me with her. Veronica was reluctant, but my pestering skills were top-notch. At the dinner, I once again ran into Mr. Huang, the man who had fantasized about me. He was even uglier than before. The button on his suit jacket was fastened, squeezing his beer belly into two halves. He stood up, his lecherous eyes raking over me. When we shook hands, his fat fingers lingered on a young woman's delicate hand. The girl tried to pull away several times but couldn't. Veronica's brows furrowed. She produced a kitchen knife from somewhere and held it to Mr. Huang's wrist. Mr. Huang, she threatened calmly, if you can't learn to respect women, maybe we should just chop off this hand. His fat body trembled, and he put on a fawning expression. Ms. Sue, you have a great sense of humor. He then nervously let go of the woman's hand and quickly moved to the seat farthest from us. Seeing he was no longer a threat, Veronica put away the knife and pulled me to sit beside her. This kind of thing is common, she told me quietly, but you must never compromise. Best to learn from me. A warm feeling spread through my heart. I nodded obediently. Thank you, Veronica. The rest of the negotiation went smoothly. A group of grown men couldn't outdrink Veronica, a single woman, watching her navigate the dinner table with such ease. I couldn't imagine how she had survived the period after her father's death. She was a full 8 years older than me. While she was battling in the business world, I was still in middle school. After all these years, Veronica had developed a mature charm. Ethan was truly blind. He'd passed up such an outstanding woman for Sophia, that little flower, but his loss was my gain. Drunk, I thought about the time we had spent together recently, and how much I had learned from her. It would benefit me for a lifetime. I couldn't help but giggle foolishly. Thank you, Ethan, for letting me latch onto such a powerful ally. After seeing off the clients, Veronica turned around and saw me grinning like an idiot. What's so funny? She asked. I gave her a wide, bright smile, then stumbled and fell into her arms. I let out a drunken hiccup and mumbled against her shoulder. My mom said I should learn from you diligently. She'll take care of my dad and Ethan, so you have to teach me well, or you'll be letting my mom down. When Veronica's father passed away, she had shouldered the entire Sue family alone. To give her support, my mom had arranged her engagement to Ethan, a public declaration that the Ming family had her back. Although my mom rarely interfered in company matters, she held the majority of the Ming family shares. She was the real person in charge. My dad and Ethan were just the public faces. My mom was smart. She often told me, you can choose to be a stay-at-home wife, but you can never entrust your future to a man. In this world, besides yourself, no one is truly reliable. Everyone has their own way of living, and marriage is not a necessity. As long as you can manage your own life well, I don't care if you stay single forever. My mom encouraged me to pursue freedom, while my dad wanted to mold me into a standard socialite for a future strategic marriage. He could keep dreaming. I had a good night's sleep. When I woke up, Veronica was still fast asleep. I was used to sleeping on my side, but she seemed to prefer lying on her back, one hand by her side and the other near her head, her breathing steady and light. She must have been up late taking care of me last night, falling asleep without even changing her clothes. I suddenly felt a pang of guilt. I got up quietly, planning to order room service, but the slight movement woke her. Her eyes were tinged with fatigue. She rubbed her temples and said, "Remember, your alcohol tolerance is 5 beers. When you're in college and go out drinking with people, don't ever exceed that limit." She was teaching me social survival skills from her own experience. Got it, I promised readily. As the start of the semester approached, I cherished the time I spent with her more and more. After breakfast, she drove me home. I scrolled through videos on my phone to pass the time and stumbled upon a huge scandal. #Manhattan socialite catches cheating husband in the act with first love. #CEO_swaps heir to appease first love deceiving wife for 20 years. After brewing overnight, The news had exploded and had been the top trending story all night. It didn't take a genius to figure out it was about my family. The only way the paparazzi could have dug up such details was if my mom had leaked it herself. Still, I was shocked by the headline. My dad was old, and his first love was no longer young. How could they still be so intense? As the media put it, the health supplements my dad had been taking must have played a key role. When I got home, the first thing I did was find my mom. My dad was in a rage, smashing a Celadon vase. He pointed at my mom, accusing her. "What are you doing? I just made a mistake that any man would make. If you had just turned a blind eye, we could have gone on like this. Now you've made it public knowledge. What good does that do you, besides making us a laughingstock?" My mom calmly sipped her tea. "You had an affair during our marriage. I have the moral high ground and can get a lot of your money." The stress gave my father a toothache. He hissed, sucking in cold air. Unable to take his anger out on my mom, he turned on me. "All these years, you and your mother have lived a life of ease and luxury because of me. If we get divorced, who would want your mother, a middle-aged woman? And without your father, who would look up to you?" He was threatening me. If I still wanted to live this life of luxury and privilege, I should persuade my mom to back down, preferably by holding a press conference and clarifying that it was all a misunderstanding. I sneered internally. What a brilliant plan. But I wouldn't let him have his way. I feigned a sudden realization. "Oh," I exclaimed. "Dad, so you're worried Mom won't find anyone after the divorce?" "Don't worry, Mom's first love, Mr. Kane, is eagerly waiting for a chance to get back together with her." My father's eyes widened in disbelief. "Aha, so you had this all planned out. You've been cheating on me all along." My mom remained calm and composed. "Takes one to know one," she replied, not answering directly. I pretended to be confused. "Dad, you and Mom both found your first loves. It's even now. Why are you so angry?" He turned to me, his eyes demonic. He raised a trembling hand and pointed at me. You wretched girl." "Thanks, that's the best compliment you could give me," I said with a grin. Seeing my father was about to have a conniption, my mom smoothed her skirt and rose gracefully. "Don't get so angry," she said lightly. "Your own father died of a stroke from a fit of rage. I've been giving you all those supplements to nurse you back to health. Let's not have them backfire." His eyes bulged, the veins in his temples throbbing. With a loud thud, he collapsed, falling straight to the ground. There were only the three of us in the living room, and the security cameras were conveniently broken and under repair. My mom leisurely finished her cup of tea before pretending to be shocked. Rising with a tremble, her legs gave way, and she nearly fell. "Mom," I rushed to catch her, trying to help her to a seat. She pointed at my father on the floor and choked out, "Quick, Clara, call an ambulance." I did as I was told. After the ambulance took him away, I went to my mom's side and whispered, "Mom, will there be any problems?" She was incredibly calm. "Your grandfather is a master of traditional medicine. I learned more than just a thing or two from him." Then I'm relieved. But because of the delay in getting medical attention and the fact that he hit his head on the floor, he was left paralyzed on one side. The chances of recovery were slim. He would need someone to help him with even the most basic tasks. The housekeeper brought back the news while I was having lunch with my mom. "Ma'am," she asked tentatively, "should I arrange for someone to take care of the master?" My mom, delighted, had an extra bowl of chicken soup. She wiped her mouth and said, "Why waste the money? I've supported Doris for so many years with my husband's money. It's time for her to repay the favor." Send him directly to her house for her to look after. Doris was my father's old flame. The housekeeper acknowledged the order and went off happily to make the arrangements. I had to admire my mom's methods, clean and decisive. Paralysis. That would be a tough pill to swallow for a man who had been proud his whole life. With my father's downfall, you could say Ethan's support system was half gone. On top of that, he had been busy dealing with his drama with Sophia. To win her favor, he had lost several major deals. My mom seized the opportunity, teaming up with other shareholders to strip him of his CEO position. In those trashy CEO novels, to show how powerful the CEO is, they often depict them using shady, underhanded methods to intimidate rivals. That's basically organized crime, right? After my birthday party, I had asked Mr. Kane to do a thorough background check on Ethan. With his connections, he soon found evidence that Ethan's hands weren't clean. With the proof in hand, I reported him directly. What he'd done was enough to land him in prison for 20 years. The timing coincided with the angsty part of the novel's plot. After their unpleasant encounter at the cafe near the Sioux Corporation, Sophia had a huge fight with Ethan. She demanded he cancel his engagement to Veronica and marry her instead, announcing the news on the Ming Corporation's official social media. Otherwise, she would break up with him. Ethan, feeling his pride and dignity had been offended, coldly replied, "In your dreams," and walked out. Heartbroken, Sophia unilaterally broke up with him and ran away. When Ethan found out, he was even angrier. He tracked her down, cut off all her financial support, and locked her up. Sophia managed to get her hands on a phone and called me for help. I kindly helped her by calling the police. Ethan was taken away on the spot. When Sophia saw me arrive, she was moved to tears. "Clara, I knew you were the best to me," she sobbed. "Men are all unreliable. Only girls truly help each other." She tried to hug me. I dodged her, shattering her delusion. "I'm not here to help you. I'm here to send you to jail." She froze, not understanding what I meant. "You stole $500,000 from my brother to pay for your father's medical bills, didn't you?" I said slowly. She nodded honestly, then her face flushed as she tried to explain. "My father's illness flared up. I had no choice, and I was fighting with Ethan at the time. I couldn't bring myself to ask him for money, so I had to steal it." "No need to explain," I cut her off. "Taking without asking is stealing. All I know is that $500,000 of my brother's money is missing. You can save the rest for the police." Ignoring her cries, I had her taken to the police station. My mom divorced my dad and forced him to name me as the company's heir. He lost everything and now survives on a meager annual dividend. I thought that was the end of it. But then my mom had an itemized bill printed of all the money my dad had spent on his old flame over the years. She handed it to the housekeeper. "Deduct it from his dividends," she said. "This was marital property. He can pay me back until it's settled." It would take years to pay back that much money. We'd see if his dear old flame was willing to take care of him and live a few poor years by his side. After that, my mom started preparing for me to go to college. "All right," she said, "I've cleared all the obstacles for you. From now on, you have to rely on yourself." I knew my abilities were limited, and what had happened was thanks to my mom and Veronica, but I believed I would grow up quickly, making my own shoulders strong enough to shelter them from the storm. Veronica was the one who took me to college. After nearly 3 months together, we had developed a deep bond. After getting everything settled, I walked with her to the campus gate, my steps incredibly slow, trying to stretch the time indefinitely, not wanting to face the moment of separation. But she was a rational person and didn't understand the sadness in my heart. She held out her hand for her bag. "All right, this is far enough." Now that I was in school and she was working, we wouldn't see each other much. I held back my tears and asked, "Will you come visit me often?" "Study hard," she said, ruffling my hair. "We'll see each other when you come home." With that, she left gracefully. I sighed. I watched her get into her car, roll down the window, and wave at me from a distance, telling me to go back. The car disappeared into the stream of traffic. I stood there for a long time. On the way back to my dorm, I picked up a ginkgo leaf with a line of poetry written on it. "To know that longing is futile does not stop the sorrow of this reckless heart." I wondered which sentimental soul had created it. A month later, I had adjusted well to college life. The national holiday was approaching. My mom had accepted Mr. Kane's invitation to go on a trip and told me to find a place to stay. I was feeling down. All 4 of us in the dorm were away from home for the first time. Everyone, whether local or from out of town, was eager to go home. In a flash, I was the only one left. Just as I was feeling miserable, my long silent phone lit up. It was a message from Veronica. "Come out. I'm downstairs from your dorm." I ran to the balcony and sure enough, it was her. She was wearing a black professional suit and the familiar white-framed glasses, looking sharp and capable. I was overjoyed and waved at her. I quickly packed and rushed downstairs, throwing myself into her arms. "What's wrong?" she asked, catching me with a smile. "I saw you were all alone and thought I'd spend the holiday with you." "That's great." I snuggled against her, my face beaming with joy. "I knew you cared about me the most." Veronica laughed helplessly, seemingly unable to handle my enthusiastic affection. She drove me back, but not to my house. It was an unfamiliar villa. Veronica handed me a key. "This is a new luxury villa development by the Sioux Corporation. This one is my gift to you, to celebrate you starting college." "Thank you." Veronica. I treasured the key, putting it in my pocket, and hugged her arm, cooing, when the house is renovated, I'll bring my mom over, and we can all live together. Your aunt is busy rekindling things with Mr. Kane, Veronica said. Then the two of us will live together. We're both without family anyway. Might as well stick together for warmth. We'll see then, Veronica said, adjusting her glasses. Fine, we'll see then. The years are long, and the future is still young. Epilogue. My name is Veronica Sue. I was an only child, and from a young age, I traveled everywhere with my father for his business. A life without a fixed home meant I had very few friends, but being with my dad was enough. I never expected that my stable life would come to an abrupt end when I turned 18. My father was in a car accident, leaving me with a huge company. Relatives I had never seen before suddenly appeared, clamoring to divide the company. I had never faced such a situation and was terrified. At my father's funeral, I saw my aunt, Mrs. Ming, bring a 10-year-old Clara to see me. She held my hand comfortingly and said, Veronica, don't be afraid, Auntie will help you. Hearing those words, a weight lifted from my heart, and I burst into tears on her lap. After crying, my eyes felt dry, as if I had cried out all my tears. The bright-eyed little Clara just stared at me with her big, watery eyes. She awkwardly held out her hand and gave me a piece of candy. For someone so young, her words were surprisingly profound. Don't cry, sister, she said. Life is bitter, but candy is sweet. I ate the candy. It was truly sweet, and it seemed to melt away my sadness. Aunt Jean helped me with the funeral and took me to her home. There, I met the 20-year-old Ethan Ming. I disliked him from the first moment I saw him. He was too calculating. The arranged marriage between us was a common practice in our circles. For the sake of deeper cooperation, feelings were secondary. Aunt Jean's intention was to have a legitimate reason to support me. I was against it, and I didn't like Ethan, but when my eyes met Clara's clear, bright ones, the refusal on my lips was swallowed, replaced by an okay. She clapped her hands in delight. I really like you, big sister. I want you to be my family too. I smiled. There were many ways to become family. Later, while Aunt Jean was busy stabilizing the situation, I, under immense pressure, navigated my way to where I am today. I always kept an eye on Clara, knowing she was being raised as a pampered princess by the Ming family. But one day, she suddenly became incredibly rebellious, refusing to follow the path her father had set for her. Aunt Jean told me, this child wants to work in the company someday. Veronica, you're busy, but please teach her a few things. Even without her asking, I would have done my best to help her achieve her dreams. All for that one piece of candy she gave me so long ago.